And welcome to Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. As always, I'm John. Along with me is Shawn. We are now 63 days away from NFL kickoff between the Bills and Rams. So, Shawn, that's only 9 weeks. And a lot of that will be taken up by preseason and training camp stuff. So, things will be heating up here in about a month.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I think the first preseason game's only a month away, not even a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about it, we're a little under 30 days to go until actual football. Uh, I'm pretty sure. I think training camp and everything kind of opens up to all the people, all the fans, and everyone to see. I think that opens up in a week, next week or so. I think next Thursday or Friday, everything kind of starts opening up for teams that we could start seeing actual players on the field. You'll start seeing NFL Network and all of them starting to jump around ESPN and starting to show all the teams as they go around.
Yeah, so let's take a look here. I'll put on the screen. We'll take a look at some of the headlines that have been going on around the league. Let's share the screen here. Share. So we did have Baker Mayfield getting traded to the Carolina Panthers. Shawn, what do you think of the trade for the Panthers?
Honestly, I think they stole that trade. Honestly, I think that was honestly the greatest trade they could have made because at the end of the day now, they could honestly just kind of either release Sam Darnold or just keep Sam Darnold as a backup. And I'm pretty sure he's a free agent at the end of the year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have a fresh quarterback room pretty much because all their quarterbacks are year to year. So they could have a fresh quarterback room and pretty much just at the end of the day bring whoever they wanted next year. If Baker ends up being a phenomenal player for them, he could be their future quarterback. I mean, in 2016, who would have thought that in 5 years or 6 years from 6 years, 5 years, however many years it's been, that the Carolina Panthers would own two of the top three draft picks from that draft. And the only person they're missing is Saquon. They might as well go trade Christian McCaffrey real quick.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up Carolina's stats here real quick just to see. But let's look at while I'm waiting for that to come up. Let's look at some of the other headlines here. The Athletics' Nate Taylor reports MVS was the best receiver during the Chiefs' offseason program. Well, we're starting with our receivers tonight. I don't know if he made it into either. He did not end up in my top 20. I don't remember what your top 20 was, Shawn, but
no, he was not there.
49ers, Trent Williams is the first offensive lineman to get a 99 rating in Madden. Who cares? Some Hall of Fame. Go ahead.
Now I saw when we first got over there. Why is Breece Hall trending?
Oh, I don't know. Let's look. Let's see why Breece Hall is trending. If you think Breece Hall is going to be a 3-down back, you should buy a red nose. Well,
Michael Carter.
Well, Michael Carter, they are going to split carries, but most people think it's going to be 50-50. I think it's going to be more 60-40, maybe even a little bit more for Hall.
Do they trade Michael Carter?
No. Nope. Not while he's on his rookie deal. They're not going to trade him. And he split carries in college too. So it's not like it's
new to him.
Yep. So let's look here. Draft home run. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was just wondering why. I saw he was trending. Maybe that's why. Maybe because they're starting to sign all their contracts. Yeah. Right there.
Well, that was the other guy. That was the offensive tackle.
If you go down 2 tweets there, bud. Only one player remains unsigned.
How about that? So maybe that's why. They'll get it done. Rookie contracts. I think they just have to iron out what's guaranteed. Like they know how much money they're getting. I think just the guarantees is what switches it up a little bit.
What is the Twitter 2022 hype fantasy football team?
Trey Lance at quarterback, Travis Etienne at running back. Etienne made it into my top 20 running backs.
Tony
Tony Pollard, who you're a big fan of. Um,
Rashad
Rashad
Bateman.
Bateman, Gabe Davis, Michael Pittman Jr., Albert O. I believe Albert O is in Denver, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, we're not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name, so I like the Albert O. It
And
kind of just is solid.
and a guy I know you're high on, at least last year you were, Darnell Mooney.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm I was hyped on him last year, but then he kind of slowed down towards the end of the year. And now that Allen Robinson's gone, he is the oldest, I believe, receiver in Chicago. Um, I I just kind of hope that he kind of lives up to what he should be experiencing and having kind of games out there in Chicago, especially with the defenses he plays against. I mean, 3 defenses they play against in the division 6 times a year, they're not, you know, top notch. We're going to stop and shut down. I mean, there's no reason why he should not be out there averaging 75 to 100 yards a game.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's look at some of the honorable mentions here. Cole Kmet, Russell Gage, Elijah Moore with the Jets, Brees Hall with the Jets. Let's see. So he said anyone else. So let's see what some other people are thinking. Feels like a personal attack.
His guy's fantasy team. Jeez.
Oh, man. Let's see here.
It's all but
ETN, Hall, Bateman, Gabriel
Davis,
Russell
Gage,
Albert
O. What's his bench look like? The rest of the players?
That's funny. Definitely taking Russell Gage and possibly AJ Brown over Pittman.
I don't think AJ Brown is overhyped. I'm not an Eagles fan. I'll never cheer for the Eagles. I'll never root for the Eagles. I'll never draft an Eagles in fantasy other than a quarterback. But I think AJ Brown is honestly gonna possibly be top 5 fantasy receiver this year.
We got NFL Chaos with Jeremy stopping by. Jeremy, how are you? Great to see you. Elijah Moore, baby. Yeah, Elijah Moore. Definitely it'd be interesting to see if he ends up in either of our top 20 wide receivers here tonight. Tonight we give you 11 through 20, and then Sunday we'll do the top 10 as well. But Shawn, since we're getting some people in here, you ready to start diving into those top 20?
Yeah, I mean, you want me to start my top 20? You want to go with yours?
Yeah, no. Let's start with you this time. Do you need me to change the slides, or you got it?
I got it.
All right. Go ahead whenever you're ready. Let me get rid of some of this stuff on the screen here. And add this to the bottom. All right, go ahead, Shawn.
Coming at my number 20, I, of course, had to go with Bobby Trees, Robert Woods. I honestly, I sat here and I questioned who was my 20th best for probably about 15 minutes. I was texting you names, and I'm like, give me some info. Elijah Moore was one of those people because I was like, what is really up with him? Because he seems to be high on a lot of fantasy numbers this year. So I had wondered why that was. But I went with Robert Woods, my final decision. I like him being in Tennessee. He kind of got overlooked in LA as a backup to Cooper Kupp. And then Van Jefferson kind of took over. And then OBJ came in. And then when OBJ showed up, Robert Woods got injured. I think it was a day later. So you never saw them all on the field at once. I would have been intrigued to see how they are playing together, how they all were together. But with that being said, I want Robert Woods because he's the clear-cut number 1 in Tennessee. I think he'll be Tannehill's target for most of the games. In LA, he was averaging around 6 receptions a game, and then he had an occasional jet sweep or some kind of funky play that he would be either quarterback or a running back. So I think he's going to put up great numbers, and coming off an ACL injury, I think that's honestly going to drive him to be better, especially now getting traded. He's going to want to go out there and say, I deserve to be a clear-cut number 1 on any team, and here I am.
And what do you think with Woods being in Tennessee? He should be the number one guy there, but they do have they drafted Traylon Burks this year as well. So I don't know if that'll cut in to Woods' numbers at all, being a rookie. But
Yeah, I wonder about that, but at the same time, I think that I'm confident in him being the clear cut number one. That Burks is kind of going to still have those rookie moments where I think honestly he's going to outdrive him because you already know what you're going to be getting with a player.
yeah, so all right, let's keep going through your 20 here.
At my number 19, a guy we haven't heard from for 2 years now is Michael Thomas, the all-time slant receiver. Honestly, I think he's going to have a breakout year. He's coming back, obviously, from injuries. He's coming back to health. And he's going to have a quarterback that throws just as much as Drew Brees did. So with that being said, I think with Olave and Jarvis Landry now down there in New Orleans, I still am wondering how Thomas is going to fit in, but I think he'll fit in good enough that he'll still be able to get enough numbers just because I see them even using Jarvis Landry more as a depth piece deeper down the field than Olave. And Michael Thomas, they know what he's getting coming up short. So that's why I think Michael Thomas ends at number 19. And I think it puts him back on the record saying, like, I'm back. I'm still here, even though I missed the last 2 years. And then with the injuries and everything as well.
Yeah, so let's keep going through your list here. It'll be interesting to see how Thomas does come back. Like you said, he's missed a lot of time. I believe 2 seasons, right?
Yeah, it was the last 2 years.
So number 18, you have Metcalf.
Why
you don't have any concerns about the quarterback situation?
I have no concerns over the quarterback situation for one reason. DK Metcalf will not end the season as a Seattle Seahawk. And I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't get traded before the season, even if a key injury happens. The first phone call people are going to be calling about is Seattle is a wide receiver. Him or Lockett, and Metcalf is cheaper, and you'll probably be able to get more draft picks for him because of the amount of cap and salary that is owed yet to Lockett. I think it's like $20 million a year or something like that. It's a weird number, but with Metcalf, he's still on his rookie contract, so I think that's why you'll get better numbers on him, better draft picks. So I think Metcalf is going to have a great year. The guy is a freak. I mean, we've seen replays of players running into Metcalf as a defender, and they go flying, and he just stands there like, he's the windshield, and everyone else is the bug.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is built different. I mean, from the time he got drafted to now. So, honestly, I think that's why he's my number 18, and I think he has a good year, and I think he gets traded, and I think he goes to a key team. A team I could see maybe making a phone call on him, and I definitely, because of the moves they just made, could be maybe a Cleveland to get other help out there. Or I could honestly see him even going to maybe like a Baltimore. Because if Lamar Jackson could get another receiver help, what kind of team could they be?
Yeah, and if I don't know if they would trade him to the NFC, but I could see maybe Green Bay if Green Bay was willing to give up enough capital to get him.
Yeah, see, I don't see Green Bay honestly being one of them, just because I don't think they would want to bring in a wide receiver when they just drafted one. And then with other receivers with Lazard being on a 1-year deal, I don't think they would want to bring in another major guy, because if Lazard ends up being a breakout season, you're going to want to lock him down. You're not going to want to have Metcalf there competing and then have, I think it was it Wilson or Williams or something they drafted?
Let me look to see who Green Bay took. Green Bay took Christian Watson. They traded up in the second round to get Watson.
Yeah. So from that being said, he's guaranteed 4 years. I would keep him around for 4 years, and I wouldn't trade for another wide receiver.
Well, like you said, I mean, they have Lazard. We don't want to get off too much off of Green Bay here, but
Yeah.
Lazard is a free agent after the year. Watkins can't stay healthy. Cobb's ancient, and anybody after that isn't very valuable. So it'll be interesting
Yeah,
to see what happens with Metcalf.
yeah, and honestly, with Lazard, if the Packers were to have like a bad year, losing year, doesn't look great for playoffs, I could see them dumping off contracts.
Mm.
Get what you can for value. But with that being said, my number 17, Cortland Sutton.
Wow.
Why Cortland Sutton? Because Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson is going to find a guy that has the speed and the size and the ability to see the defenders and move around and kind of find that open spot. Cortland Sutton was a star. I wouldn't say a star, but he was a great player even with Drew Lock and all the other quarterbacks, Teddy Bridgewater, when throughout the years in Denver that he's had. I think he's had like 4 starting quarterbacks. But he is going to have the ability to get the yards. I could honestly see him having 1,250 yards this year, maybe 1,400 even as a max ceiling, just because he stays healthy where the other receivers on Denver's team haven't been able to stay healthy enough. So I think that's why Sutton's the clear-cut number 1 there, where Judy, he's got concussion issues and a lot of body injuries that have happened that I think, honestly, that he's not going to stay healthy enough for a full year and to be able to guarantee him be a clear-cut number 1.
And right now, looking at it, Sutton and Judy, I have Judy at 79 receptions and Sutton at 72. I mean, that's almost 50-50 there with Tim Patrick being the third wide receiver. And that Albert O that we were talking about a little bit at the beginning of the stream, him having a decent season as well. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Russell Wilson does do there in Denver. But yeah, I could see on paper why everybody would love the Broncos receivers. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm high on it, and I think that honestly he has a breakout year. And then coming at my number 16, I'm also really high on this wide receiver. And honestly, the guy I put at number 16, he has a higher ceiling, I think. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would say write this down because I might say this could happen. He could be a top 10 wide receiver this year.
Wow.
I think he has a high ceiling. I really do. I mean, look at the numbers he put up as a rookie last year. If he finished 16th on the year, I think in fantasy, you said the other on Sunday last year, and he didn't even play the full season.
Let me look. I have it here. I thought I had it here. No, I don't have it here where he finished, but that's okay. I actually, for somebody, he did not make my top 20 as much as I do love him, and he didn't make my top 20.
Yep, he was a slot in my top 20 automatically when I said that he was going to be there. And honestly, at one point I had him up to number 12.
Wow.
And I moved him around a little, and I said 16 I think is his low point this year. I think honestly though 10 could be his high point. Weird thing to say. When's the last time we sat here and said Detroit could have a top 10 receiver and running back on a team? I don't think they've ever had that. If they've had a top 10 running back,
at the same time, right?
I would say they've had a top 10 running back, top 10 receiver, never at the same time. It could happen this year, and they could have a top 10 tight end as well.
Yeah, with Hawkinson, yeah. And how do you think? I know Williams is going to miss some time at the beginning of the year, but I think once Williams gets back and they added Chark as well, I think that's going to cut into Brown's numbers, and that's why I didn't have him in the top 20.
Honestly, I don't think so. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is obviously the franchise wide receiver with Williams. I think Chark's numbers are honestly the ones that are going to take the hit more just because he's on a one-year deal. If Williams comes back and the trade deadline isn't expired yet, I could see DJ Chark getting moved maybe for Williams.
Harold's here.
He's
Good
just in
evening,
time.
everyone. Just in time for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Just in time for Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's my clear-cut number 16. I really like him. I mean, him being in my division, if the Detroit Lions are on, which are only on really every Thanksgiving, I'm watching him, and I'm watching Ross St. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
You picked him up in free agency during the waivers
draft.
during the
rookie draft.
Or in a rookie draft, and once you started using him, he was a lock, he was a steal, and from there, honestly, I couldn't even believe what the numbers he put up. I mean, he was nowhere to be found, and there he is.
Yep.
But coming at my number 15, Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry.
Scary Terry's going to go off this year. I really do think so. He's got a quarterback finally that has an arm that is not afraid to use it. And he just got paid. And that payday is definitely going to be a game changer. Let's just hope that it doesn't get to his head. Because if Terry McLaurin has a really bad year, there's a guy that's going to come steal his number 1 slot.
And I was just going to ask you about him.
Jahan Dotson is clear-cut number 2 there. But if McLaurin doesn't go off to a hot start and Dotson punt return, kick return, jet sweeps, he reminds me of Deshaun Jackson when he came into the league. That's who I kind of see him being. So, honestly, if Terry McLaurin has a bad year, Jahan Dotson's numbers are going to be great. And from what I've noticed, Jahan Dotson's averages between 70 to 90th wide receiver rankings. So if you have a rookie draft and you're able to draft as many, like 5 people say, I would draft Jahan Dotson if you can, because in a rookie draft, his numbers are going to be worth it in 3-4 years.
Agreed.
And then coming in my number 14, we got the Jalen Waddle here. My only reason why I have him at 14, I think he's going to have better seasonal numbers than Tyreek Hill, receptions and yards. But I think Tyreek Hill's touchdowns is where he's going to get the numbers. I just think Tyreek Hill's going to get double teamed a lot. People are going to be watching him. They're going to – the speed, the depth, everything like that. Everyone's going to be watching that. Where Waddle down well with Gesicki. He's going to get those 5, those 10, 15-yard gains a lot. And from that point, he's going to just move the ball a lot down the field. And from there, he's just going to keep helping move the chains for Tua. And for Noodle Arm Tua, I think Waddle is going to be his main guy.
Yeah, and I just looked at it on my screen here. I have Hill and Waddle. I have Hill at 93 receptions and Waddle at 92 projected for the season. But Hill having almost 200 more yards and 3 to 5 more touchdowns on the season than Waddle.
Yeah, that's my only concern with Waddle is the touchdowns. I think that's where the Tyreek Hill difference is going to be, where Tyreek's going to get less receptions, where Waddle gets more yards.
Yeah.
And then my number 13, T. Higgins. You really like T. Higgins. Mm-hmm. My only concern is that he's got so many weapons in Cincinnati for Joe Burrow with Chase and Boyd as well. That's my only concern with Higgins. That's why I'm at 13. He's got a lot of upside, especially if Jamar Chase were to go down. T. Higgins' injury, if T. Higgins were to get an injury, not saying we have one, let's hope we don't have one. Obviously, we never want injuries. But if one were to happen, T. Higgins' stock will rise a lot. Mm-hmm. But my only concern is when Jamar Chase is seeing the ball and he's having a great game, you kind of forget T. Higgins is there. Mm-hmm. That's my only concern. There's a lot of those times last year where a player kind of moved along.
Mortal Olympian, thank you for the follow. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Since you followed, they gave you 300 points for following. Let us know there. If you click on the points, you can tell us who your favorite team is. If you have a favorite NFL team, Shawn and I live stream every Thursday at 7 Eastern time, Sundays at noon Eastern time, because that's usually about an hour before kickoff during the NFL season. So we keep you up to date.
Except London's.
Except London's, yeah. I'm not doing an 8:00 show for London games.
No, not me. I'm still half asleep yet.
So Mortal Olympian, once again, thank you for being here. But Shawn, anything else on Higgins?
No, I mean, my only thing is he gets overlooked a lot with Jamar Chase now. Coming in my number 12, the Reek Freak. We just touched upon it with Jalen Waddle. I think less receptions is where he's going to be used more. I think they're going to use him more as the kind of deep wide receiver, 40, 50 yards. However far Tua can get the ball thrown to him kind of thing. That's my only concern. Can he get the ball thrown far enough? So I think that's where Tyreek's going to outdo Jalen Waddle, be the number one, is the yards and the touchdowns, where receptions are going to go to Waddle more.
Yeah, agreed. I have Hill a little bit higher than you do, but still definitely both in our top 20. Should still continue to put up great fantasy numbers.
Yeah. I had him in my top 10, and I kind of just sat there, and I'm like, with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill's top 5. With Tua, we don't really know.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen this year. I really don't. For fantasy purposes, I hope Tyreek goes off, but I'm kind of glad I traded him last year to you in fantasy.
Yeah, of course that happens, right?
I saw the future, and I said, gotta go. But
so, that's all right. I'll still take him. He's still going to put up 90-something catches, over 1,000 yards, close anywhere between probably 7 to 10 touchdowns would be my guess. Probably,
absolutely. And my number 11 is CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. Honestly, I think his ceiling, the highest he could probably go is 11th, honestly, on the year. I don't see him going any higher. But I could see him not even being a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy purposes by the end of the year. It's hard to say what Dallas is really going to be for wide receivers, just because there's so many moving pieces always. There's injuries. If Dak were to go down, the quarterback room there is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never understood teams why they don't have a decent backup. And when Dak got injured, 2 years ago, it showed. When you have no quarterback, you're not going to be a great team, and you're not going to make the playoffs. So
right now, could you tell me who the backup quarterback is for Dallas? I just looked it up, but
no.
Could you tell me? A gentleman by the name of Cooper Rush.
Sounds like he rushes the ball.
So I have no idea. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb at number 11. What's funny is when I'm doing my notes on the players, anytime I get to a Dallas player, I don't know what to do. They put up great numbers, like you said. As long as Dak's going to be there, they're going to put up great numbers. But I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. That's the scary part, is you don't know what could happen. But let's recap my top 20, because then we can get over to your top 20, and interested to see how many we might have as the same.
Yeah, yep.
Go up to number 20. Coming at number 20 for me was Robert Woods, Bobby Trees. Number one
in the league.
Number 1 now in Tennessee. I think he makes the list here in top 20 for me. Coming at 19, Michael Thomas. He's back. Slant Boy's back. So I'm interested to see how he bounces back after 2 years. Yep. Coming at 18 is, as we called him, the windshield, and he's the bug annihilator because everyone hits him and they bounce off him. DK Metcalf. My bold prediction, he doesn't last a year in Seattle. He gets traded, and I think it happens. Coming at number 17, Courtland Sutton. I think he's Russell Wilson's new number 1 and his new favorite, and I'm interested to see how he plays there now with an actual quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Coming at number 16, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, you can't go wrong with the guy. His rookie year, he was phenomenal, and he's only going to put up better numbers this year in the second year. And like I said before, he could be a top 10 receiver by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in number 16, Scary Terry. He's got a quarterback that could throw the ball to him now, so I'm interested to see where he ends up and how his season ends up. Coming in number 14, Jalen Waddle. He's not the number one wide receiver anymore in Miami, which is going to sting a little because you were the number one. But, hey, if I'm going to be a number two to anybody, I'd rather be the number two to the Reek Freak.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in number 13, T. Higgins. The guy is known as Jamar Chase's number two. So can he have a great year with Jamar Chase still being there? Yes. And I think Joe Burrow still gets the ball to him a decent amount. Coming number 12 for me was the Reek Freak himself. I think he has a down year compared to Patrick Mahomes when he said the other week that Tua has a better arm and accuracy than Patrick Mahomes. I think we should have drug tested him there and then because clearly he's on something because no one should ever say those words in the history. Coming in number 11 then to round out my first 10 people, CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. From there, I mean, it's hard to say what honestly he could be as a player. I mean, we're not really sure. Kind of like you said, it's hard to say just because of Dallas as a team.
Yeah, agreed. So thank you for sharing those. Before we put mine up on the screen, Shawn, let me run a 30-second ad. So guys, just hold on with us. We'll be back right after this. Yeah, Shawn. So that was, I mean, if there's still people here, I don't know if an actual ad popped up, but it says an ad is in progress. So yeah, I like that list. Definitely a lot different. Definitely a lot different there. So it'll be interesting to see what you think of my 11 through 20. I have some guys here. I have at least one. Let's see, two guys in my top 10 that you had in 11 through 20.
Yeah, I think that our numbers are going to be way different.
So
I
go
told you no one's going to be the same.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I told you right off the bat. I already had 5 players that you didn't even have.
Yeah. So let's put mine up on the screen this time. Excuse me. Shawn, do you want me to move them?
I'm moving for you.
All right, let's look here. I got Jalen Waddle at number 20. I actually would have had him a little higher if they didn't had trade for Hill. I liked Waddle a little bit more than here. He was 13th last year for fantasy numbers. Only missed one game. I have him actually projected as the 18th wide receiver, but overall, his rookie year he had 104 catches, a little over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. But like I said, adding Hill is going to cut into those numbers a little bit, dropping him from the top 15 to the number 20 for me.
Yeah, that's my kind of like I said. That's the only thing is the downside of Hill being there now.
Yeah, agreed. So coming in at number 19 for me, I have Terry McLaurin here. He was 25th last year. He didn't miss any time. So quarterback play was an issue last year. I actually have him projected at 21 this year. So putting him in at 19 is not bad. Wentz is going to improve McLaurin's numbers big time. Having Dotson there as well is going to help because if he doesn't improve, like you said, Dotson's going to take some of those catches away from him.
Absolutely. Coming in your number 18 now.
I have Marquise Brown from Arizona. He was with Baltimore last year. Goes from the Ravens were 13th in passing last year. No, I know their quarterback was hurt most of the year. But Arizona was 8th in passing, and Hopkins will miss the first 6 weeks of the year. So Brown finished 22nd last year, and I think he'll finish 18th this year.
Interested.
Yeah.
Coming at number 17 for you.
17, Brandon Cooks. He absolutely loves being in Houston. They talked about trading him in the offseason. He wants to stay there. In his 2 years in Houston, he's averaging 85 catches per year, just under 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns a season. And they built around Davis Mills. Now I still think Houston's a bad team. They are getting better on paper at least. But looking at the numbers from last year, he was 20th last year. I have him projected 14th. So split it almost down the middle and have him at 17th this year.
Yeah, he didn't make my list of the top 20. The same with Marquise Brown. I just think they're on a little bit on the outskirts. Marquise Brown's numbers are going to fall off the face of the earth once Hopkins comes back, I believe. And I also saw that DeAndre Hopkins might appeal his suspension just because I guess what he took, I guess he thinks that isn't really an illegal substance to help him. I'm not really sure. I don't think they never announced what the substance was that he got popped for. So it could be something that he was taking for anything. I mean, it could be what a lot of players go through, like depression or something. It could be something so similar, something so small that we don't really know exactly.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if he does appeal that. That would definitely hurt Brown's numbers if he only misses 3 weeks instead of 6 weeks, say. So
Exactly.
we definitely have to adjust that. But
coming at your number 16.
I have Deontay Johnson there with Pittsburgh. Last year he actually finished 8th overall. And I actually have him projected as the 11th best receiver. In his first 3 years, he went from 59 catches to 88 to 107 last year. But with Ben Roethlisberger retiring, and I don't know what they're going to do. I know they signed Trubisky to 2 years and drafted Pickett. I think that's going to hurt Johnson a little bit, and I don't know. That's why I had him go from 8th last year to 16th this year.
He wasn't even in my top 20. My reason why he wasn't, for the same thing, no quarterback really guaranteed. Who do we really have? We're not really sure. So I'm not going to go out of my way, and I'm definitely not drafting him in any of my drafts because I'm not going to take the risk. I mean, there might be a lot of reward if he has a great year, but his risk is really high because he could be having a really bad year. We don't really know. I mean, Chase Claypool is a number 1 wide receiver. I can't wait to announce him being my number 1 in a few days on Sunday because the guy is just a freak. Best player in the NFL, MVP numbers this year. Get ready.
Well, I think MVP is between Claypool and Goff, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Jared Goff's going to run away with it, though. I don't know. I mean, Brett Favre might come back and win MVP, too. We don't know.
He might. And I just looked. Claypool, I remember when Claypool made those comments, you told me where he ranked. Like the highest he ranked. I know
it was like 58th.
Yeah, something like that. And this year, I only have Claypool projected at 61 catches, 850 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So, I mean,
yeah, clown.
And they drafted George Pickens.
Clown.
So I don't know where he's getting his. Hey, you got to have confidence in yourself. But saying your top 3, stop.
I hope Calvin Ridley didn't bet that.
Oh man, that's funny.
Coming at number 15 for you.
I have Mike Williams from the Chargers. I know he only missed 1 game last year, but there was a stretch there where he kind of struggled. He's definitely the second best receiver on that team. But Josh Palmer, who was a rookie last year, I expect him to improve. So that's why Williams was 12th last year. So dropping a little bit this year with Palmer's numbers rising. I have Williams going from 12 to 15.
Yeah, my only concern is Keenan Allen obviously is number 1. Palmer being there is my only concern. Mike Williams, though, he started off so so great last year. He was my waiver wire addition that saved my season because I picked him up after week 1, and then he went on that stretch where it was like 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 1 here. And it was just – and then in like mid-season, he was like – I think it was like week 8. For like week 8 to week 14 or 15, it was one phenomenal week, like 20 fantasy points, then 2. Then it was like 22 fantasy points, 3. 18 fantasy points, 3. I was like every other week. So I literally just started playing him every other week, and then he decided he wanted to have back-to-back great weeks, and then started doing the opposite way. And I was like, I just can't win. So he just sat the bench and ride the pine.
Yeah, so I mean, he's still going to put up great numbers. Let me look. I have him projected this year, 73 catches, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So, you know, still some great numbers. I just think Palmer cuts into his numbers a little bit.
Yeah, I think and Keenan Allen is the clear cut, obviously number 1.
Agreed.
Coming at number 14 for you.
Oh man, number 14, I have DJ Moore. Even with horrible quarterback play last year, he finished 18th. I actually have him projected 15th this year, but in my rankings at 14. Last year, even with the horrible quarterbacks, he had 93 catches, 1,157 yards, 4 touchdowns, and I have him projected this year to almost duplicate that. But actually, that'll probably go up now that they've traded for Baker Mayfield. I absolutely love that trade for the Panthers. So they should be a legitimate team this year. I think as long as CMC can stay healthy.
My only concern with Carolina, Robbie Anderson physically came out and said on social media he did not want Baker Mayfield there, and he was all about it. No, I don't want him. Now you got him as your quarterback. What kind of awkwardness is that when he shows up there in the locker room?
Well, that's what happened when he first went to Carolina, because he said he didn't want to play with Sam Darnold, and then they trade for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, because he played with Sam Darnold in New York.
Yep.
But then it was like, all right, and then now it's like when Baker shows up and he's throwing you 55-yard bombs down the field, are you going to be like, damn, I really don't want this guy as my quarterback. Get rid of this guy.
Right.
Clown.
Yep.
Clown. Get him a red nose. I gotta get a red nose for people like this.
We should do our top 20 clowns of the NFL.
Well, AJ Antonio Brown would be number 1, I think, regardless.
Yeah, Antonio Brown. Yep.
He might be the only guy we have as number 1 locked in. Chase Claypool close second.
Yep. So
you're number 13.
I have AJ Brown here. Last year he finished 32nd, but he missed 4 games. And that was the first thing in my notes. Brown needs to stay healthy to finish here at 13. He has missed a total of 6 games over the last 2 seasons. But having Devonta Smith there in Philadelphia is going to help. He really didn't have much help in Tennessee, even though they had Julio Jones. Jones wasn't the same player that he was in Atlanta.
That's why he's still a free agent.
And so they do have other weapons there as well. Goddard at tight end, Sanders at running back. So the field should be wide open for Brown. It's just going to be, Hurts. Is Hurts going to be able to get him the ball?
Yeah,
I know Hurts likes to run. I have Hurts projected to run for 800 yards as a quarterback.
Yeah, you have AJ Brown here at number 13. He wasn't in my 11 to 20. So on Sunday, everyone's going to have to tune back in and find out how far into the top 10 I put AJ.
Oh, wow.
He's in my top 10, and I'm really high on him this year. And I'm not high on Eagles players. And he's actually one that when he was in Tennessee, I was a fan of him just because of the stuff the numbers he could put up when he's able to get the ball. And I think him being in Philly, he's going to be able to put up great numbers again. I really do think so.
So, yeah, A.J. Brown, one of my favorite players this year. I love him going to Philadelphia. It made a lot of sense for the Eagles to make that trade. And
absolutely. Just get rid of the draft picks. You didn't need them at that time.
They didn't need him, and they had multiples. So they were making all kinds of moves, and they really didn't lose any draft capital by making this deal.
No, I think they gained it.
Yeah, so
coming at your number 12 now.
I have Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman finished 17th last year with Wentz as his quarterback, adding Matt Ryan. I think that helps. Now, what's going to hurt Ryan? Now, he does have Jonathan Taylor as the running back, so definitely going to run the ball a lot. But there's really nobody opposite of him, or I would have had Pittman a little bit higher than here. So,
I'm
like I said, he needs a he needs a weapon on the other side.
I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Pittman in my top 20. You have him at number 12. The reason why I don't have him in my top 20 at all, I honestly don't like him at all as a fantasy player for the fact of Indy, I think is going to be more committed to running the ball with Taylor and then using Mack out of the backfield. Or is it Hines? Hines out of the backfield.
Hines, yep.
So that's my only concern is I don't know what kind of offense they're really going to have. So I didn't have him in my top 20 at all. And kind of like you just said, they don't have another weapon as a wide receiver. They had T.Y. Hilton last year when he was healthy, when he played, which was rare. But when he did play, it helped Pittman's numbers. So you don't really have anybody.
No, and they did. I mean, they did draft Alec Pierce in the draft this year, so it'll be interesting to see where how he pans out. So, I mean, Pittman I have projected at 89 catches, but then the next one on the team is Pierce, and I have him projected at 37 catches. So maybe, like you said, maybe Indy be one of the teams in on Metcalf if they're willing to trade him.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. And then coming at number 12 for you, rounding out your top first 10 picks.
I have Keenan Allen from the Chargers. I absolutely love the Chargers. I love watching the Chargers. They're a fun team to watch. Allen finished 11th last year. I have him projected at 8th this year, but just with my rankings, my personal rankings, I have him at 11th again. And he seems to put up numbers quietly.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, and what I mean by quietly, I mean like he's consistent. He's not having that one massive game and then dropping off.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what it was the other day. I think in the first, 6 years or something, or 5 years of his career, he has the most receptions ever by a player. I think, or it might be the most receptions before the age of 30. It could have been, I think, but it was something I saw where it's like Keenan Allen has the most receptions before this, and it was like he had by far the most.
Yeah, and looking at his numbers over the last 5 seasons, he's averaged 102 receptions, just under 1,200 yards a season, and 6 touchdowns a season. I have him projected this year at 105, a little over 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That's what I mean by quietly putting up, like I said, he doesn't put up a monster game and then drop off down to like Williams does. You know, like you said, Williams kind of disappeared after putting up some monster games. But Allen, you can almost guarantee what Allen's numbers are going to be every game.
Yeah. So for players that have the most receptions before the age of 30, Keenan Allen in 116 games is fourth with 730 receptions. He averages 11 yards a catch, and he's averaging 74 yards a game.
Wow.
And the only people ahead of him is Antonio Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, and DeAndre Hopkins, which if he plays at the amount of games DeAndre Hopkins took to get to the amount of receptions before the age of 30, he'll blow that number away.
Wow. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's why, I don't know. It's weird. 11th, he finished 11th last year. I figured he'd have been higher last year, but no, right at 11. I haven't projected at 11 in my standings, but according to my projection software, I have him at number 8, actually. So, anywhere in that 8 to 11 range should be perfect for Allen this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have him a little bit higher, obviously. He wasn't in my top 10 yet, or first 10 so far. So, again, another have to wait and see kind of where I have him on Sunday to where he is in my top 10. But I like him a lot higher just because of the reliability that you're getting with him.
Yeah, agreed. So it'll be interesting to see. We should keep track to see who does better with their projections or with their rankings for the season. So, Shawn, go back to 20, and I'll recap
Sure.
my top ones there.
Your number 20?
I had Jalen Waddle there in Miami. I dropping him a little bit. I actually liked him a little. I liked him a little bit more than that coming into the season, but them adding Hill dropped him a little bit. He's still going to put up great numbers, but just coming down a little bit because of Hill.
19.
Terry McLaurin definitely going to improve. Put up decent numbers last year, but was 25th last year, and I have him at 19th this year. I think Adam Wentz is going to help him as well. And like you said, he's got a little fire behind him there with Dotson. And he got the new contract. So it'll be fun to watch McLaurin again in Washington. Marquise Brown with Arizona. Now this is based off of Hopkins missing the first 6 weeks, but like Shawn was saying, it looks like he's gonna protest those 6 weeks and see it might even get cut down. So if it gets cut down, that's gonna hurt Brown as well. He was 22nd last year in Baltimore, so 18th really isn't that big of a jump. So that's why definitely if Hopkins doesn't miss 6 weeks, that'll help hurt Brown a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. That could be the only killer, obviously, to Brown is Hopkins' numbers.
At 17, I had Brandon Cooks in Houston. He wanted to stay in Houston. He's actually had 2 decent seasons, 85 catches per year, 1,100 yards per year, 6 touchdowns per year. And he's got a good rapport there with Davis Mills. So things should improve there. It'll be interesting to see. On paper, Houston's still a bad team, but it'll be interesting to see how much they did improve on the field.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm intrigued to see is how much does Davis Mills take a step forward from his rookie year to his second year.
Yeah.
Your number 16?
I have Deontay Johnson with Pittsburgh. Like I said, at 16 here, he was ranked 8th last year overall for fantasy wide receivers. But that was with Ben. So, you skipped over to Mike Williams for me already.
Oh, I clicked on it.
No, that's all right. So it'll be interesting to see with Trubisky and Pickett at the helm. Johnson, you gotta keep an eye on, and Claypool. I mean, if Claypool doesn't stay healthy, so that's good. That's gonna if Claypool's not playing, Johnson's numbers will be improved a little bit, but dropping him from 8th last year to 16th this year.
Absolutely.
Coming in at number 15, Williams from the Chargers. Finished 12th last year. I actually have him in our points projections. I have him 20th. But it still should put up some good numbers. Dropping him a little bit from 12 last year to 15 this year because I believe Josh Palmer there in his second year with the Chargers will put up more numbers, cutting into Williams a little bit. So that's why I dropped him from 12 to 15.
You're 14.
DJ Moore, like I said, DJ Moore put up great numbers last year, even though they had horrible quarterback play. 93 receptions, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. Had him projected at 87 catches, 1,100 yards, and 5 touchdowns this year. But I'm going to keep an eye on to see where those projections go now that Baker Mayfield is the quarterback there. DJ Moore was 18th last year, so 14 is not that big of a jump.
Yeah, I think honestly he could jump up a lot higher depending on how it works out here with Baker Mayfield and DJ Moore. Baker could come in and be a favorite with Robbie Anderson. We're not really sure, so it could be a game changer now with DJ Moore.
Even though Robbie Anderson has said that he didn't want him there.
Yeah, but it all depends on who's open when the ball gets thrown.
That's true.
You're 13.
A.J. Brown, now with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was 32nd last year, but he missed 4 games. So that was my first big thing, that A.J. Brown needs to stay healthy. But being on that team, Devonta Smith on the other side, Goddard at tight end, Sanders at running back. But Hurts needs to stop running the ball so much. I think if he could stay in the pocket and pass the ball a little bit more, he can definitely finish anywhere in the 11 to 15 range, considering it was 32nd last year.
Yeah, I think honestly it comes down to it is now that he has the actual receiver to throw the ball to more, and you can trust him more. I think that's going to be a game changer for him.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's where A.J. Brown plays a big role now, is he is going to trust him more as a receiver.
Okay, so we'll keep our eye on that as well.
You're number 12.
Michael Pittman from the Colts. Pittman was 17th last year, so I have him taking a little jump this year with Matt Ryan as his quarterback instead of Wentz. The Colts do need to add another weapon on the other side of them. Now they drafted, I believe his name is Pierce.
Yes.
And they could use some help at tight end. So he's still going to be in that 12 to 15 range. But I just like Pittman a little bit more because they added Matt Ryan at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're number 11.
Keenan Allen with the Chargers finished 11th last year, and he missed a game. And like I said, last 5 seasons, averaging 102 catches a year, just under 1,200 yards, and 6 touchdowns a season. I actually have him beating those receptions by a little bit and that touchdown by a little bit as well. Maybe the yards about the same. So Keenan Allen, those are like perfect numbers for Keenan Allen. You know what you're going to get on a weekly basis. Like you said, Shawn, I believe for his career, he's averaging 76 yards a game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's Mr. Consistent. You know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis, and not have to worry about a drop-off. Like you said, Mike Williams, great numbers 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and then completely fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, Keenan Allen, you almost guarantee you're going to get 5 catches, 6 catches out of him a game. In our dynasty league, I'm actually I pretty much got rid of pretty much all my guys last year that were liability players. So I'm gonna have to go and make a new move, because if I want to go as a 3-time champ, I got to make moves.
We don't need you 3-peating, bud.
Oh, I'm 3-peating, and I'm going for 3 out of 4 in the championship here. Come on.
So that's 11 through 20 for both of us. We'll be back on Sunday to share our top 10s as well. That'll be noon Eastern time. I do post these videos on YouTube a day after. We can't live stream to both places at the same time unless we pay extra. And right now it's not worth doing that. But as we grow, that's something we can look into. But yeah. So what do we have left? Like I said, Sunday, 1 through 10. Then Thursday next week, we'll do our top 10 tight ends as well. I bet you a lot of those are going to be the same.
Yeah.
Not going to do kickers and defense, just because you never know on a week-to-week basis what you're getting from either of those positions.
Yeah. And to touch on the YouTube, we actually just converted over to Instagram. We actually made a page. So we can end up posting it on the Twitter, but it goes.
Actually, I'll get it and post it in the chat here, bud.
All right, that works too. But we actually are going to go in there. We're going to post stats in there, numbers, projections in there, and just we're going to put videos in there, kind of just to keep everything going up with social media, keep it up to date with everything. If there's any major news, kind of be able to post something on there quick, just to keep everyone in on the loop of everything.
So I just looked. You just started that today and sent it to me. It's already up to 5 followers, so that's cool.
Yeah, just I mean, we just want to be able to keep it in with, like I said, to keep up with everybody and to kind of get the social media going. We obviously have Twitter, but we want to kind of have it that other people can also see it there, and then grow as a whole with everybody.
And I just put anybody in the chat. We are running a free fantasy football league this year. We do have a draft date. So if you go over there and look, that's not the actual draft date yet. We'll actually come up with a day once we fill up where everybody can draft. So I know people work different days, so we'll do that. Then Shawn has come up with some great prizes for that as well. So.
Yep, and then we could even maybe give away a mute button for you. We'd be like, all right, the person could just sit there and just keep hitting the button and mutes you.
Man, I don't know. I don't know what the love affair was muting John's microphone is.
I don't know, but it's fun.
So, once again, thank you everybody for being here. If you're here for the first time, hit that follow button. It really helps. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So it'll help boost our numbers there. Shawn, I will come up with a thing to put in the chat that'll show all our socials. It'll link to the new Instagram page. Harold says he needs to draft Goff and he will win. I think if he ends up with the number 1 pick, he should take Goff first overall.
Ooh, it'd be like drafting 2016 draft all over again. Asked you, I think it was on Sunday. I texted you. I think it was after the stream, and I said, "Who was the number 1 pick overall in the 2016 draft?" And you were like, "Who?" And I was like, "It's Jared Goff." And you were like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Listen, I saw someone post, and they're like, I can remember the whole 2016 draft, but I can't remember one thing my wife told me ever tells me." And he named all 32 draft picks. I mean, pretty accurate.
I couldn't tell you who was drafted.
I could probably tell you like what year people were drafted if you named like 10, 15 players, but I couldn't draft a whole draft over again just because I kind of get lost in offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Like, I'm like, all right. I could tell you that like the highest kicker ever drafted was like the 6th round. It was Evan McPherson. Actually, no, I think he was like the 5th round.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And just to touch note on kickers, I actually saw it yesterday. CBS came out with their top 10 rankings. They put Evan McPherson as in the top 10. They put him as the 8th best kicker in the league.
8th best kicker in the league.
And everyone's like, "How is he number 8 when the guy literally has a better leg, they think, than Justin Tucker with accuracy?" I don't know how he could be the 8th best kicker. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, the guy won on a tear last year, sent them to the AFC Championship.
I actually have him ranked lower than that.
I just don't get it. I mean, maybe because they don't kick very much there in Cincy, but when they do, the guy's reliable. I don't know. I'll draft him first overall.
Harold says I never have the first pick. I actually don't. I don't like getting the first pick.
It depends on what kind of draft. If it's a dynasty, if it's a salary cap draft, I don't care what draft pick I get.
Yeah, salary cap doesn't matter, but.
And I'm telling you now, everybody, when it comes to the snake draft and when we come to do this league, I'm probably going to suck. I absolutely suck at these. I cannot win. I can't win a snake draft to save my life. I just never can. I did 2 baseball fantasies this year. One was a salary, one was a snake. My snake, I'm 6 and like 5. My salary, I'm 11 and 0. Running away. I would say, guys, goodbye. But hey, whatever works, I guess.
So actually, if whoever's still here, if you go to our Twitch page and hit the about page, I started putting some stuff over there. So you can see our I know every once in a while it pops up in the chat where you can see our fantasy football projections. But if you go to our about page there during the live stream, Right now, I have the quarterback page there and the running back page, so you can just click on that, and it'll open up a new window and take you right to that page as well. Like
Yeah,
Shawn
and
said, follow our new Instagram. I posted that
it'll be
over here as well.
yep, it'll be on there as well for people to see, people to be able to click on it and to go about and just see what numbers. I mean, it might be able to save you, say, in a draft to be like, all right, well, what kind of quarterback is a low draft that I can save my pick from picking quarterback till maybe around 10, 11? Who can I get then and be still good enough? I mean,
Yeah.
I think the other day you said Tom Brady's still like the 12th best average draft quarterback, but he's like the third best in rankings.
Yeah, let me look. Right now, Brady now has an average draft position of 97. So he is moving up, but still, I have him as the fourth overall projected quarterback this year. I mean, I don't know. Are people starting to think he might fall off? I don't know, but I mean, I still have him projected at 4,800 yards and 37 touchdowns.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Guess
So
we'll find out.
yep. And like I said, we'll be back Sunday at noon Eastern time. Follow us on either Instagram or Twitter um, to, to
Yeah,
to keep updated on when our shows are.
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
just
go
a
ahead.
even if you send a comment in the Twitter, questions if you're doing an early draft. I mean, we'll always feel free to answer them.
Yep. And I get those. I get those right to my phone, and I usually before I answer it, I usually ask Shawn to make sure we're on the same page with answering somebody's question. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, during a live stream, we might differ if somebody posts something, especially once it comes to weekly projections. It'll be interesting to see who we like, and who we don't like on a weekly basis.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we don't. Me and you honestly see eye to eye on a lot, but when it comes to football fantasy numbers or questions, usually it kind of we differ just because one sees the reasonable way and one sees the upside or downside of somebody. Where I'm usually the upside or downside, like I see what his value is worth or what his value isn't worth, kind of. Where you see, all right, well, here's what he's looking at, and you usually have the stats. Where I'm like, all right, well, here's what I see, well, here's what I don't see, what I like.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Especially during the off season, we'll keep it to a little over an hour. During the regular season, I'll definitely be up for streaming at least during the Thursday night games. Maybe up until halftime or something, so we're not going crazy into the night. But
Yeah,
oh, we
absolutely.
got we got one last Twitch or Pokemon. If anybody wants to catch that Pokemon there in the chat.
But no, once it comes to football season, obviously streams can definitely go longer. We could play it. We could play it by hand and see how they're going. Obviously, with Thursday night games, it's hard to really talk fantasy numbers once the game starts. But once the game starts, then we can look forward to or look towards Sunday numbers for people, and then people can see. But when a Sunday comes around, we honestly can look around and see numbers just because we can look towards the afternoon games, Sunday night, Monday games. So there's different things to look towards.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
But
Shawn, there's Harold trying to catch the Pokemon again. Shawn, thank you for setting up that new Instagram for us.
yep,
I'll come up with a thing he's got that Poke Catch thing there. I'll come up with a thing for our socials, so it posts all our links in the chat. So yeah, we'll be back Sunday to reveal our top 10 wide receivers. Shawn, anything else before we go?
nope. We'll see everybody on Sunday, and can't wait to share what our top tens are for the year.
All right, see you everybody.
See you guys.